doesn't matter where you store it. Create new diagram. We pick the class diagram, and oh, we already got some diagram here. Okay, here is the example one, and when you have some diagram, for example, we have the person, address, professor, and student, and you're able to purchase parking pass, validate, output as a label, for example, we creating some label, and you have the student number, average mark. I don't know why you need it, because maybe if your average mark it's less, you're not able to purchase parking pass. Person, oh, it's eligible to enroll. Maybe it's that why you need a mark. Get seminars taken, lives at, salary. Okay, we would like to implement that structure basic application using the C++ language. And here basically is person, student. It's like university or university app. When you're creating the project, you will get the empty project first, and now we start to program. Basically, if you're working with object-oriented software, you need to create first C++ class. If using C-line tool, you're able to pick the template like new C++ class. And here, as you see, you're creating C++ and #h5. After you creating the file, you will generate two files like C++ and H file. And first you need to take the name of the class. Class basically is the new type or object. For example, we have the person, address, student, professor. And now we able to create a person first, person class. And we're creating the person. And now we're creating also class professor. No, it's okay. Professor, student, student, and we also creating address. In object-oriented programming language, you need to know that person, it's not the real object, it's more abstract object. Because for our case, the person is student and person is professor. To save or not to repeat some code, you're able to create the abstract class like this person, or not abstract class, doesn't matter really. You're able to create a class which is design your person, how looks like your person and which methods that person should have when you're creating the person. Doesn't matter it's professor or student. For example, a person have the name, phone number, email address, and also have the address, like here, as you see. And how to create like this, you need to go to the person H file and create private fields. Private means you're not able to share this data to outside, and you're not able to get those variables outside the person class implementation. Inside the person C++ file, you're able to manipulate with those variables. And for example, we have the private name. Name will be the string type. And for the string, you need to include some libraries. IOStream, and we using namespace std also. And when you have some already added using namespace std and iostream able to work with the string type with a like text line or text collection. String name holds some names. Also, we need to hold a phone number, email address, string email, for example, and phone. Phone will be integer, phone number. Okay, phone number, for example. We have the phone number, and for our case, we have address. And if you need that person should have the address, you need to create the address. Address, and we're creating the address. Alt enter to import address h file, because we need to address object to use in our person class. Also, we need to purchase parking pass, and we creating the public function because we need to share this function with the student and with professor and other classes. If you here is a great example when you need to use the protected keyword. When you have the child classes, for example, class person, have the child class professor and student. For that reason, you're able, instead of public use, to public share this function, you're able to use as a protected, which is only able to see only the child classes. Protected keyword means the child classes only they're able to see this field, this function. And now we're creating purchase parking pass, and we're creating purchase parking pass, and just that's it here. How you purchasing the pass? Maybe we need to make our new field as a boolean type to say that is parking purchased, maybe. For example, like this. And when you would like to check it, you're able to create a function or getter for is purchased. Yeah, to get this value because it's protected now. You're able to create a function is parking allowed, for example. Because we're creating two functions, purchase parking pass, we able to purchase parking and we able to check it, is it allowed parking. And now we need to create other stuff. If we need to get the name, email, phone number, maybe we instead creating three functions to get this separately. We create some details function. For example, we create a void function which is print this name, email, and phone number. And void print info. Just print info method which is able to call it those four fields: name, email, phone number, and address. Or just when you're working with object-oriented programming software, when you need to get separately those values, you're creating the accessors or getters if you need to get those stuff. And to create the getters, it's really easy in CLion because you're able to generate those getters. You hit the Alt Insert. Now I need to find the Alt Insert. Sorry. alt insert, and you generate the getter. Getter means that you're able to get using the public function. We make all those stuff as a getter. And as you see here, we got the generated code here. And you see is a parking purchased 1. That means at the moment we changed this function with a different function, because we created this parking allowed instead of if is parking purchased. And in C++ file person C++, you implement your functions. We here added more functions, like that one maybe I deleted here, and you're able to create those functions inside here and protect it if you don't want to share this information outside the child class. And we need to implement purchase parking is allowed print info. If you're using the C line, you're able to hit Alt Enter. Generate definition. You generate a definition for the person purchase parking. Or you just able to write yourself person is parking allowed, for example, and return. It's not void, it's boolean. Return, and you just write like this. Void maybe person print info. Yeah. That person needs to say that which class you will find, in which class you will find the print info method for which you're implementing. Here's a reference to the person class print info method in H file, like here. And that protected keyword means you're not able to share outside your functions, only used in child class person, for example, professor or student. Basically, here you see header, which represents your basic structure of your app, and functions and variables. And also, when you're creating the software, every time you need to have the constructor, which is initialize default values for your object. For example, you're creating the student, you need to initialize the name, email, phone, address, Spark purchase. Now we're creating constructor. For constructor, you need to use public, because you need, if you need a public, you're able to create a protected section, but I creating the public because I would like to create everywhere our persons. And for constructor, I'm just hit Alt Insert. Oh, sorry, mistype. Alt Insert and constructor. And for constructor, you need to pick those fields which represents your person object. For example, is parking purchased? We don't need, because we purchasing during the app. When we purchasing, then we have that purchase sign, like our case. We don't need at the moment this initialize when you're creating the person, because we're creating the person without parking at the moment. And we're creating the person with name, for example, phone, address, and basically email. Our structure for the person, every person should have the name, email, phone number, address. Okay. And basically it generates a constructor and generates C++ also constructor, which initialize your name, email, phone, and address. And you don't need to do anything here, but if you needed to do something, you're able to do inside that block. Here, just write, for example, we include iostream, and here using namespace std, easier later to write cout, and now we're able to do something here like cout person created end line. Why it's not working? Expected. Oh, we make some problems here. Okay. I hit enter in wrong place. We need go to this block inside the begin and end block, and here you write your code. Doesn't matter, you're able to call the functions and etc. And when you calling or creating the object, you printing to the console person created. Okay. Basically, for constructor, you don't need to do anything. You just initialize like this your basic values when you're creating the object. And how it looks like, now false, I will show in the main. When you're creating the person, like this person P, you're not able to create a person without include your person H file. And here you're not able to create reference because there is no default constructor without parameters. That means you need to pass some parameters to initialize here. Like if you need to create a person, you need to pass the name, Peter. Also we passing email, Peter at gmail.com, phone number like this, and address, you need to pass the address. And if you need to pass the address, you need to create the address first. Address. At the moment, address is empty because we don't have any implementation already. But we later are able to pass it address also as object and initialize the P object or person or Peter if you would like to different variable name. And that means we creating the person which is a Peter and have the Peter at Gmail number and address. And we're able to call the functions Peter dot, for example, get address and name, email, and other stuff. Purchase parking pass, for example, which is already not already implemented here. And now, as we see, we declared protected here. And now, of course, we need to create a student and professor because the person is the basic parent class. And when you have the parent class, this class is not finished because you have only the abstract type, which is not finished. And for that reason, you need to extend or inherit from the person class in the professor, which is the final class. Professor and student also the final class, but have the different functionality. And now we need to implement those functions and to extend this class. And how to extend in C++ world, you need to add some symbol like double dots, and you need to write that how you're extending, as a public or private protected, and the name what you would like to extend. But here we don't need to extend anything. We need to extend those functions in the student age file. For example, public person, import this person age, and in professor age we need to do the same stuff, public person also. Here we say that professor is a person and the student is a person. And now when you go to the main, instead of person, you're able to use, for example, student. And now, of course, we find no match constructor for initialization. Create a constructor. It suggests to create a constructor, but for our case, it's we need to copy this constructor. We able, for example, I know it's possible to generate definitions. No, constructor. Yeah, it's generated constructor. As you see in student age, we just alt insert and we creating the constructor. And when you generate a constructor, you just copy from the person class those fields and creating the copy of the person class constructor. How do you see here? As you see here, we extended person and name, email, phone number, and address. We just making the copy of the person class constructor. And in professor also we need basically public alt insert constructor, and you get the constructor. Now we got those two constructors, and in main you able to see that student Peter is working now. And now as you see, when you making like this Peter and you have the protected keyword, that means you're not able to use it here. If you using inside a student student C++ or student age, maybe we create create some function void use demo. I'm just creating use demo function, and here would like to call the function which is named purchase parking pass. And as you see inside the student class, when the keyword is protected, you're able to call this function purchase parking pass from the person class because it is protected function. And as you see here in main, we not able using the reference because it's protected. If you make the public, you're able to call purchase parking outside the class. And if you have the situation like this, you're able to solve this problem only the creating a separate function like purchase parking. Here passing some variables if you need it, or you don't need it to pass any variable during here, and just implement this function inside the student class. And here calling purchase parking, we're passing some stuff to this function. As now, oh, it's infinite now because we need to use person. Maybe, oh, it's okay. We we not able, sorry, in student age to create the same name. We need for student, doesn't matter, because we extending the function which is already implemented inside the person, and if those two are the same ones, you will get some recursion stuff. To solve this unit, just creating different name, for example, and purchase parking pass like this. Or just instead of this in the person class, person age, we make public all those fields using the public. Basically, I would like to show today that protected keyword means that you protect those fields and parameters or variables only inside the child classes or the parent classes. To use outside, you're not able. When you use a public keyword, you're able to use anywhere like this. You see working now. And Peter purchase parking pass. A lot of time you need to use the public stuff, but if you need to say to hide some information in child classes or in the main class, in the parent classes, using protected or private keyword. As you see here, we hiding info, we sharing using public keyword. If you not would like to share it, we using protected keyword. And now we have the student, and for example, we remove this function because we have in the main person object versus parking. Doesn't matter you creating student or professor. Now we're able to just copy this and add professor. Professor, import, and instead of Peter, professor, doesn't matter, instance Onyx, doesn't matter, any name and some different numbers. And we have the student and we have the professor Onyx. And we able to Peter able to and professor also able to purchase parking pass. And of course, how to get some information to print it, you're able just see out some info from Peter, like get name, and see out Peter professor dot get name, and line, and we see the different names, of course, here outside. We have the main object person, which is extended by student and professor, and those able to call all the functionality which is already added to the person class, like sharing that functionality and variables to student and professor to save your work, not repetitive code, write repetitive code. And here we're able, for example, professor have only salary, or student have the student number and average mark, like this. And when you're running, you will get the basically. Okay, we go to remove this function because already removed. And as you see, we created two person created. That means you're calling not the student constructor, but you're calling the person constructor, because the main object is the person, and student it's real name of the object, person. And the Peter and Onyx, as you see, we calling that functions also working from the person class. And here the printing from the person class, as you see here, implementation person created. When you creating the object, you calling this cout. And now we need to make the isParkingAllowed. We need to create his purchase. That's it. We implemented isParkingAllowed. It's purchased. Because when you're changing this value, you need to set a different value. When you're purchasing some parking pass, you need to change isParkingPurchase to true. By default, it's false. If you need to guarantee that by default this purchase is false when you're creating object, you're able to add it here, its purchase equals false. If you need to guarantee that you're variable, for example, or you just by default able to create a true if you would like, when you're creating the objects. At the moment, you just returning isParkingAllowed if by default false. If you're changing or purchasing pass, you will get the true. And now you need to create the printinfo method. For example, we outing to the console some data. Printinfo, for example, name. Maybe we adding some details like this, and we printing the name. Now we printing, or we need to write like name details. No, like this maybe. Name. I don't know how to write better. Or like arrow. Details name. Then we printing email. And we printing phone number. And we printing the address if you would like. Address, and you're able to get some info because we don't have it at the moment. We left like this. And line name, and here we adding email, and here we adding phone, okay, phone number, etc. Here we basically create a function which is called those person fields like name, email, phone number, and email, name, email, and phone number. And address at the moment we doesn't have it because address class is empty now. We're able to use it, but it's empty and doesn't have any functionality. When we run or try to, instead of cout, to call it printinfo. Peter would like to print info, and professor also would like to print info. And you see two different separate objects. And as you see here, person created, details, name Peter, email peter@gmail.com, phone, and details Onyx. Of course, we need to fix that output. We need some spaces here, and maybe that's it. We run again. And we got our information here. Details, name Peter, email Peter, and phone. We got functionality to print some info. And we already have the constructor, which is construct the object. And we call the purchase parking professor. And how to get our isParkingAllowed or not allowed. You just call the function. For example, we say out professor isParkingAllowed. Cout. We also able to add printinfo to change printinfo method. Just we run now. Oh, sorry, I managed this breakpoint. And as you see, we got the 1. 1 by default is true converted to the integer, and integer 1 is true, 0 is false. And how to make is parking allowed? In our case, we're able to check when it's like if professor is parking allowed, we do some stuff. You're able to make some functionality later if you need it. I need that. For that reason, you're able to check later. We're able to change the print info method, and here also adding if is purchased, because we changing with, we don't need to call this function is parking allowed, because we implementing functionality inside the person class. If parking allowed, we able to write like this details. I don't know, maybe the new line, because easier to read it. Parking is purchased, for example, and line. And here you're able to create like some space to make better reading later. And here basically adding like this. And if parking is true, we printing this. Else, I'm just printing some different info. Parking is not purchased. And for example, you're able to make some, I don't know, scene, or just printing C out. Maybe you would like to purchase parking, question. And for example, yes, no. And now seeing different way, like some, I don't know, some input, yeah, and char input, and you just see an input. And if input equals yes, we calling some function, for example, purchase parking pass. Yeah, purchase parking pass, that means you else I don't know if we need to enter. Oh, okay, we just else printing some like this. We just printing some info. Goodbye. Like this, I don't know. Here's just example. We extended our print info method, and is purchased. Okay, we printing that one. If not purchased, we suggesting to purchase. And by default, our case, we have not purchased ticket, and we taking, for example, Peter first. And when you're running your app, here details Peter, parking is not purchased. Maybe you would like to purchase parking. Yes. And oh, I forget to do anything here. When you hit the yes, you need to print something. Goodbye. Successfully uh, successfully completed you now able to park your car. Like this. When you're running, if you not have parking purchased, you just suggesting parking to park. And when you hit the yes, successfully completed, you're able to park your car. And now we print any goodbye, like this. And here basically we've created a print info method. Now we need to implement more functionality, and we need to implement the student class and professor. Professor have only the salary. It's really too easy to implement. We create a private field and only integer or double, sorry, because we need salary, and we create only alt insert getter salary, and you implemented basically the getter. You don't need anything more. We need to get the salary. If you need to change this, you need to create a set salary and change the salary object property. And basically professor got salary from somewhere. You later able to decide how to set the salary. And maybe to create some administrator or CEO, which is give you a salary. For a moment, professor have only salary and get the salary. Maybe we can try to protect that. Set salary, alt insert also recommended. Use the setter and print set salary, and you created the basically professor HL protected. Oh, sorry, not public. I'm sorry. We created private salary, public get salary, or protected set salary, because we would like to create another class. For example, I don't know, manager or administrator, bank. It doesn't matter, bank. Or cashier. I'm not sure it's okay how it's spelled. It's correct or not. Yeah, it's cashier. Okay, we create a cashier, and cashier basically gives the money for the salary. And we create only public fields to give some money for this employee. For example, void give salary or payout. I don't know, payout salary. Okay, void payout, and cashier should pay out. I know it's correct to extend public professor. Here is a bit strange now, but we creating also extending the professor class, which is cashier, also the person, and cashier also as a professor. Of course, it's not really great stuff, but able to get protected well. In object-oriented programming, you're able to make like the single object to make the different type. Like cashier also as a professor and person also. Doesn't matter really at the moment, because we're creating only the single functionality, only payout function, or just maybe we not make like this. We leave like cashier to pay out some money, and person, not person, professor basically have the public also set salary. Someone gives the salary and see how many you would get, and when you go to the cashier to pay out money, you passing integer salary like this, and we just implementing the function cout, just say like we got some money, iostream, sorry, using name space std, and we need to print it out that we pay out our salary. You pay out, you got some money, and line, and of course when you go to the cashier, you see that you got some money, for example, and cout total salary and line. Just we're adding more functions, more objects later to use it for our program. And now we have our person, we have the professor, and have the salary to set and get salary. Oh, I deleted, sorry. Okay, and now we need to implement our student class, and in public field we need to add it. Where is this diagram here? We need the student number and average mark, and student number and average mark is double average mark. And now we already got those two fields, and maybe we creating as a private, sorry, because we don't need to share this data, and we able to publicly or public sharing this through the getters. Alt insert, create the getters, both getters, get student number and get student average mark. And also we need to create a setter for the student number and student average. Now we creating like this, alt insert, we're creating setters for our student number and average mark. Setters means you that set those values to these properties. Getters to get those properties, and how you calculating this functionality. Of course, you need to pass some, for example, array or any collection of marks. But we're just passing some numbers for the easier to understand at the moment. And now you see we got also is eligible to enroll and get seminars taken. And in our student class we need to make int get seminars, oh sorry, seminar taken, and is eligible to roll, you create a boolean is able to roll, or it's eligible eligible roll to roll. It's like this. We're creating those two, and we just make some decisions later. Seminars taken, eligible to roll. We're creating a boolean is able to learn. It's able to learn, or it's able to attend seminar, for example, and I don't know, get seminars taken. Get seminars taken, you're able to just create a getter setter. For example, getter and setter, seminars taken, and also for those two also. We just generated for the property seminars taken, get and set, and for this also it's eligible to roll, also get and set. And now we is able to attend seminar, for example. We generate definition and we create a functionality when the student able to attend the seminar. For example, if seminars taken is equals, for example, 5, and average mark is equals, no, average mark it's more than 6. Oh, 6, for example, return true, else return false. That's it. Here basically we say that it's able to attend the seminar if you already attended. If seminars taken equals 5 and average mark is more than 6, be able to attend it. Or maybe we created a different suggestion because the first time not able to attend it, or average mark is equals, or no, it's more than 9. Oh, sorry, more than 9. For example, be able to attend the seminar. I'm able to add it like this. It's easier to understand now. First, student which already taken 5 seminars and able to and have the mark more than 6, able to attend, or you able to attend if you have the mark of average 9. Basically here the rules for our is able to attend the seminar first. And now we already got that functionality. And validate output as label. And now we need to create the address: street, city, state, postal, country. And now we going to our address. String, I suggest to use the strings. Include IO stream include oh sorry, using namespace std, using easier to write couts for our case, and street address, I forget, street city state, street city string state uh, and postal, for example, country, I don't know, we street city state country, maybe we enough country for Lithuanian style, street city country postal, and also validate and output as a label. Okay, we created here as a private, and now we're creating two functions, public void validate address. We validating the address, and if it valid, we printing the label. Void print, maybe we returning here boolean, and print label. Or just we able to create a private function passing the address. Because we don't need to show this function to validate, validation will be in the background, and print label we will see later. When the professor student passing this print the label would like to print the label function, for example, we add this address to our print label for the our ticket to the parking. We just checking the address is correct or not correct. Later we try to connect this functionality using the parking stuff. And now we implement validate, and how to validate the address. We just picking the address, for example, city, not maybe not null. Not possible to check like this. City to void pointer. No, it's not possible. City size or length. No, it's city is. Oh, it's not errors. What the hell? String address city dot size. The empty method should use okay, the empty city size is more than 5, and address country size more than 4, for example, and address country, address not country, sorry, postal is more than 4. For example, we making some validation, but here it's not real validations because we need real patterns for our validation. For the moment, we just checking some information. If this information is okay, we are returning our address is valid. We are returning true, for example. and else we returning false, like this. Now we have the address validation, and we need to implement our print label function. Alt enter, and we just making cout. Also we need to include our iStream, and we include also using namespace std. Okay, we already have implemented that stuff, and now we just printing our label, street and line, and here we need to print the label our street. Okay, now we just copy more. Here, oh sorry, cout parking ticket and line. We just adding another line to making some label. Or just instead of here, we just adding here. Oh, sorry. Okay, parking ticket. Parking ticket. And we just adding like this. We have some label or print label. Parking ticket, address street. Maybe the first address country, city, and now we go the street and postal. And of course we doesn't have any time at the moment, but you're later able to add it. This street pods. Okay, and maybe that's it. We have some label to print some parking ticket label. Now the next step, when we have the address and print the label, we able to print this label when our professor, or for example person info, we calling here, like when you have the person print info, or maybe it's not possible. If not purchased, print info. Okay, we just if you're purchasing the parking pass, you're just writing like this, and that's it. And when the person would like to print some label, we need to create another function in the person function, in the person class. Doesn't matter it's student or professor. That means that print a label. Of course, that functionality should be added to the some other object. If you would like to create only like I don't know, the computer or some stuff which is able to print the label. But we just creating in our person class, or just maybe we create a computer. Or just printer. Printer, or maybe or computer. Personal computer. Doesn't matter. Personal computer, we create a public function which is print label for parking. And we need to pass address to print the label and valid. Okay, and now we just including address, and now we calling the address object to print the label. Address dot print label, and like this. Because we need the address object, we passing the address object from the personal computer, for example, to print the label for our parking. And now we try to implement more functionality, because we have the address and we have the validation. And here first we need to print the label and valid before we printing. And as a professor would like to Peter we need a personal computer, personal sorry, I forget, personal computer. Why it's not included? Include personal computer. Okay, we need our personal computer, for example PC, and I'm as a doesn't matter, student or professor using the computer would like to print label for parking, and I need to pass my own address. For example, I'm student Peter, would like to pass mine address, and if it's okay, I should get the message to our computer screen to print some ticket. And how to see this? I need to go to the address H, address C++, and I need to validate first, and when I pass the address, print the label, I should return some information to user. For example, if validate address, I'm passing the student address. If validate address is false, it's true, we printing like cout printing, for example, and like this, printing and parking ticket. Else see out your address is not valid, not possible to print ticket, like this. Here basically you able to create more functionality. What happens when is not when valid and when not valid, and if not valid you're able to get some, I don't know, values passing through the else function and say which is what's wrong with your address, for example. But here it's your choice, you maybe add more. Basic object-oriented programming works like this. You passing some address object, you passing other objects like, and you moving through those like passing some other object references. Now we have address and personal computer, and Peter have the address, and address is empty, and for that reason you will get some error, or not error, sorry, Peter, okay. You will get the false. Your address is not valid, not possible to print ticket. If you added some stuff to the address, oh sorry, not here, before this you need to initialize some address. We need to have setters, and here you need to set the values alt insert to generate setters. All of those setters, and now in main you're able to set some values. Set city, address set country, address set postal, and address set street. Here doesn't matter from where you get those address stuff. Maybe you would get from GPU, GPS signal, or it doesn't matter. You're setting some city, Vilnius, country, Lithuania, street, Jasinska, 15, for example, college, and postal is, sorry, doesn't matter. And now when you're running your app, you printing parking tickets, you will get the ticket, and you're able to create any parking label, and to be able to add a time and then etc. You're able to manipulate using this object. As you see, we're also able to implement the cashier to pay out the salary if you need it, but here it's really not important at the moment, because for example first you need the professor set salary, for example 2,000 euros, and you just professor would like to know get the salary, and of course you get salary, it's 2,000 here. And why it's not printed? Oh, it's get salary. We need the cashier. In object-oriented programming you need the cashier. We importing this class cashier, for example, left like this, and payout, and we need to pass our salary. Of course, you never, of course, add it like this, set like public value. You maybe add a different functionality, hide this salary, but you able to read your salary and pass to cashier, and cashier gives, for example, the salary, or you giving some number for this and etc. And when you're calling this cashier payout, oh, forget some semicolon here. You got some money, total 2K, 2000. Yeah, that's it. And for the student, is able to attend the seminar, and we try to check it here. Here we need to this our student Peter dot is able to attend seminar. We just able to create cout, or just we check it here. No, just leave like this. We checking is it able or not able. And as you see here, we don't get anything here because we returning true or false. And now we need to maybe to print something, cout, just for testing purpose, or just if you would like to leave functions clean, you're able to implement like here. If Peter is attend to seminar, true, else you do something. If able to attend the seminar, you just printing Peter is able to attend. And here Peter is not, Peter can't, like this. And here and here. And now when you and as you see here, Peter can't. Because the Peter doesn't attend any seminars. If you need to attend, you need to set seminars taken, for example, 6 or 6, and you need to set average mark more than 6, like 7. And when you setting like this, Peter will be able to attend. And oh no, why it's wrong one? Seminars taken. We need to check here. Seminars taken 5 and average mark it's more than 6. Oh, average mark it's more. Try to make average mark more. Yeah, Peter is able to attend. We need to check the again. Seminars taken is equals 5. Oh yeah, it's wrong here. It's should be seminars taken more than 5 and average mark is more than 6. Here's the wrong stuff. And now you need to check it is it working. And as you see here, Peter is able to attend seminar. And of course, you're able to create some collections to pass to calculate average, and able to seminars taken to save to the file, etc. But at the moment, we not storing this information in the file. And next lecture, we start maybe saving this information into the files. And for a moment we just testing the functionality, the functions, how it works using only this object-oriented style. And in main, as you see, a lot of stuff added here. You're able to this stuff moving to the different files. Here is only for testing purpose because we doesn't have at the moment nice flow for our app. And next lecture we try to fix this program and try to save some information to the file and create the menu for our application to control more, because we're not able to enter any information at the moment. Instead of one time when you're printing the info in the person, maybe here, like here, only entering some information. Later we're creating more stuff to enter from the console and the output to the console and make some app more cleaner and more better. And I don't know, do you have any questions at the moment? Any of one do you have?
No.
Not now. Okay, then I share this project on Git and add to your Microsoft Teams, and maybe you look into the deeper in this example, like university app, and later we try to store this information file and to add more complexity, because now a lot of files, a lot of stuff, but basically we created only the few functions. And when you're working with object-oriented programming, you every time see a lot of boilerplate or useless code, which only lets you to get some values and to set some values. Basically, those it's really not important the code. For our case, important code only the basic algorithm, like to print info, uh, print label, for example, set salary, get salary. Basically, it's nothing here, and is able to attend, for example, basic functionality. Be able to polish this code, of course, a lot of, because similar is taken, it's working only with this functionality, but we doesn't have how to increment those similar, how to store this information in the file. And without a database or storing in files, you're not able to create normal apps at all, because you need to store somewhere. And now we doesn't have the storage, and for that reason it's really hard. We just I'm just showing how it works. Like, we are creating object, you creating this, and you just bringing out to the console. But when you have some files and storage, you're able to save and show the structure, how they stored, how later you're able to use it, and etc. And I'm share this link, and I don't know if you don't have any questions today. We finished today, and I think that for our